All right, you know what it is. It's your boy Kamal Hart on the chart, and let's go bar by bar. So in the pre-market, um, kind of doing this roller coaster stuff. It's going up and down, up and down. I mean, really overall, it's a range, but we're not really. We're currently in the middle, so putting these lines aren't going to help us much yet. But just for the visualization, I probably have my lines here, and I probably have some more lines down here. So really what I want to do is kind of buy off this low side, sell off the high side, like always. But one thing that I noticed is that we do have this downtrend, and that fits really well. We go right through there. That's fitting price action really well. The only thing that's weird, it's not necessarily weird, but the only thing that, kind of alarming is that it doesn't really have too many touches off this low side. So I wouldn't say this is confirmed off the low side, but it's there. So that's just kind of something that I'm looking at, especially as we pick which direction we want to go. If we start getting resistance off this support, then you might be able to short it, but we got to see. Currently, we're just literally congested, so I'm waiting to see if we get some sort of breakout or something like that. So we're waiting. Boom, there's our open. Um, I don't really see anything yet. Um, there was a failed second entry right there, but we were still going kind of sideways. So if you saw that, you might have taken that, but it's a little aggressive. We're not really too concerned about missing that. Really, we want to buy down here if we get the chance. Now we're getting some congestion over here. That's our first little, touch of here. So let's see if we get a higher low. We made that double bottom off the low side, but this signal bar isn't great, so I wouldn't buy that. But there is a double bottom. And now we get that breakout trend. Let's see if I can get a line. We got a breakout trend right there. There's a higher low right here, but that signal bar isn't great, so we're just gonna wait on it. And then here's another sort of like failed second entry long or failed second entry short when it broke below, then came back. So when it breaks above, you could buy that. We're gonna expect it to come test this high side. A lot of the sentiment is bullish or bearish, so it looks a little weird, but there's a setup there. Now, when it breaks above and then closes back inside, I like to treat this as like a trap failure. So I would scratch this trade. I put my target at break even plus one and just get out. I don't like seeing that. This should have closed above. So you would have got out. And then if you didn't get out, you get stopped out. But that's all right. Just wait on it. Not really seeing anything that I could use yet. Now we're starting to test this high side. If you take a measured move right there, you might be able to see the target like one. So maybe we're gonna come test this area. We tried to get up there, but we didn't really quite get up there. Then also I'm seeing like this double top. We couldn't break above this area. It's kind of like a little double top right there. A lot of selling at that level. I'll just go ahead and put a line there. So really what I'm working with is kind of like this a smaller range within the range right in here. That's bullish, but it's just the first entry. And then we're just getting caught up on that EMA. A double bottom. There's a double bottom. The signal bar isn't great. It's an almost second entry long, but the signal isn't great. But we're at the lows. I'd still skip it. Let's try to wait on a good setup. That ends up getting all the way to the other side. And now we're actually touching this resistance area. So if we can get short, that might be a good trade. Let's get like a lower high or something. Like here's a lower high right here. But that's a big bar. And then this is the signal bar. This green bar is the signal bar. So you can't really short below this bar without having a pretty big stop. So let's see if we get a failed second entry or something. If we break below here, there's a failed second entry. I kind of like this a little better just because it's a smaller bar. And we're still going to expect prices to probably come down to this side. I don't know if this is going to be a little higher at this point. Looks like we're getting more bounces right there. But I'm cool shorting below this bar. Kind of have a triple top as well. So we're seeing a lot of resistance right here. So I like that short. Takes it a little bit, but it finally breaks below. And you probably barely get your scalp. 91. Yeah, so you got your scalp, really no problem, but it doesn't go very far. And then here's another trade I like, but we're starting to get sideways and in the middle, but we're still kind of getting some resistance off this downward trend, the bigger trend. But because we had a double top, like a matching double top, you could just count both these as one. So this is the higher low, and then this becomes the failed second entry once it breaks below this green bar. So once that broke below, you probably would have entered there as well. I would have been cool with trading that. And then once again, we just want to see if it's going to come down to here, like here somewhere. And you get that one, no problem. So kind of two easy trades back to back. That's nice. Um, I don't trade wedges, but you can see that there's a wedge. But let's just focus on the range. So we're getting to these low sides. So really, we just want to buy somewhere down here, even though we would kind of be expecting a touch of this channel. But once again, this channel isn't confirmed, so we shouldn't be expecting too much yet from it. I don't know if there's a midline. If there's a midline, maybe we could say the midline is in effect. But even the midline, it's not great. So this channel really ain't helping you much except but on the high side. And then we get some buying off the lows. We're not going to sell the lows. So we just got to wait. We're not selling that either. It's just kind of congested and we're at the lows. We're not worried about that. We make another double bottom, but that's a doji bar. You don't want to buy above a doji. Looks like it's going to trap you. So you would have got stopped, but that's not a good signal bar. You wouldn't want to take that. Kind of got that failed break lower. So that's aggressive to buy that. But if we get a higher low, you might buy that. Like here, it feels really aggressive because we're still, see how that EMA is pointing down? I didn't like that. But if you want to scalp and exit at the EMA or before the EMA, that's an okay trade. And then in the context of the range, that's not a bad trade at all. I would have bought that. And then here's kind of like a failed second entry long right there. Once we break above there, I would buy that again. You got to be a little concerned that this channel is there, but really, if you're looking at it, we already had a breakout side and then a move to a new low. So I'm not too concerned about this resistance. I'm really just playing the range. I'm really just playing this smaller range right now. And then once it broke above but failed to close above, I'll probably just scratch it. But you do have some expectations that we might try to make it up to this side. I'll probably scratch it. And then let's go ahead and give it a channel as well, since we did get that reversal pattern. So there's a reversal pattern. Now we're getting that first breakout side. Move to a new high. We could probably measure like one. Kind of get a failed break lower right there, but that's not a setup. So um, it's really nothing to trade there. Let's see if I get this going. And really what you have is you have a breakout side, two legs to a new high. So we're in, I mean, this kind of comes out of nowhere, but this trend has already played out as well. So we could go ahead and give this a breakout trend. And then now we kind of go, we have some congestion going sideways, breaks outside. That's a breakout, move to a new low. We're not shorting any of that. That's selling the breakout. We're not really doing that. So I'm buying off this low side, but there's no setup yet. Once we get above here, let's go ahead and give that a chance, or let's go ahead and give that a channel. Then you get that higher low setup, but it's an engulfing bar. I don't really like these setups too much. And we kind of already broke outside the channel, so we're gonna skip that one. If you're only scalping for a tick, you would have got it, but if you're going for two ticks, you come up a little short. And then now we have another trend, another little breakout trend going down because we had a trend breakout, move to a new high. So we have like a little breakout trend right there. That's holding pretty well. That's the lower high. It's not a good signal bar, kind of like a doji. Probably wait. Never sets up. This one looks pretty good. This is a lower high. Uh, it is going sideways, but we're kind of at the highs of what is this price action. So we might test these lows, and that's enough room to exit. So I am okay shorting this bar off the lower high. It's the first breakout side, lower high. Um, it's a good signal bar. If we're looking at this like some congestion, the lows are down here. Maybe a little safer to wait on the failed second entry. So this might be a little aggressive, but I'm okay shorting that. And we go and test exactly that area and even kind of get some support. So that's, that was a good target. And then the failed second entry was right there, but we were already at the low, so you don't really want to trade that. And then even if you did trade that, once it failed, you just want to tighten your stops and scratch. But then we get this setup which I like this one because the failed second entry long was here, but we never closed below. So once it fails and then sets back up, um, those are usually decent trades. My only real issue is that this is kind of a big bar, and you see how the EMA is going sideways right through the middle. That makes that trade a little aggressive, but we definitely have some bearish sentiment right now. This is definitely bearish. So all those perfectly right off there. I'll probably be looking at something like this. Maybe even, does this fit well down here? It doesn't really fit that well down there. We can kind of play it like that. So we did have a breakout this low side, but when we got to this side, we didn't even break out. So I'm still going to go with the trend for now. I'm cool going short there. And it gets aggressive because it looks like, we find some support. And that was kind of the issue, right? Is that we were taking this trade in the middle of this little zone, but a lot of bearish sentiment. And we go off to this low side to test the low side. So you would have got that trade. And we get the buying off this low side. It's back exactly where you might expect it. There's your higher low setup, but that's an inside bar. It's not that good of a signal bar going right into the EMA. Just probably skip that one. There's a failed second entry long right there. And since we're coming off this low side, I kind of like this trade. We're expecting prices to come test this. And really, if we're going to look at the overall picture, this trend didn't help us much. So I want to take it off, but I also don't want to take it off. So let's just make it a little bit faded so it's not so much in our way. I could just do that to all of them real quick. So if we break above here, that's a failed second entry long off this low, first entry, second entry. So I'm cool buying that. It's aggressive because of all the choppiness, but if you have the context that I have going on, you might consider that. Never breaks above yet, so the trade is still valid. The thing is, this is kind of a big bar. 84.25, 82. It's just a little bit too big. You might still take it, but if that's too big of a stop for you, then you have to skip it. But you might still consider taking that trade. Pops off though, and it goes right to our high side channel. And since it did make the reversal pattern, let's go ahead and give that a trend as well. That breaks right through the channel. We don't get any resistance. You would have expected maybe some resistance, but maybe the breakout on this side has something to do with that. And what I would do even is that's not going to help us as much. Just go ahead and try to get this channel going. So we might have a channel like through here a little bit. So we'll try to buy off this side of the channel. Not buying that. We're on the upper side, making new highs. That's not really what we want. Here's like a double. This is like a failed second entry long actually as well, because this bar actually broke below this bar. It was a failed break below, but it did break below. So you can start the count from here. That was the first entry. It's not really a good setup. But on the failed second entry, we don't care. So you could have bought this bar. Once it broke above this red bar, you could have bought that. And it's not quite touching our channel, but it's still holding. So I would have been okay buying that. Um, I would have been okay buying right here. Kind of gets caught going sideways, but it finally finds some support and then it takes off. And this channel is still holding okay, so that's good. And it's still holding really well. Um, it's a second entry long, but that's not a good signal bar. We're on the upper half. We're really far from the EMA. I don't really see anything there you can trade. Um, here's a first entry after a breakout. Let's see if we can get a second entry. Here's the second entry, but we're starting to get some sideways action. It's a little bit, the bar's not too big. 91.50. If it wasn't so sideways, this bar is inside of this bar is inside of that one. It's a little kind of like sketch. I just kind of wait. And then for sure, once this bar sets up, you for sure can see the congestion. This one's inside of this one, inside of this one. Just get barely, it's kind of like a failed break lower, but it still kind of breaks below, so that would have stopped you out. But one thing I'm noticing, I was going to say this is a failed second entry, but it does break below. It doesn't close below, so you might treat that like a failed second entry, but you wouldn't want to take that trade. We're going sideways. You wouldn't really want to take that. But we're getting support. That is important to notice, that we're not getting any closes below this level. So maybe we can start to count here, and we'll get a like a breakout pullback, and we can buy that. Another thing you should be looking for is, let's go ahead and just measure leg one. So we might get a leg two. And we're already at 841. So let's just see how this plays out, and we're going to call it a day there. There's a higher low, but we're still in the middle. We need to get on the high side and then break out pullback. That shoots off. And so we kind of pull back. And then if we break above this bar, that's kind of a breakout pullback. And that's a failed second entry short off this low. First attempt, second attempt. So I'm cool. I'm cool buying there. Only thing I think you might not like about this is that we had a breakout side and move to a new high. So that's a little aggressive. But if you're looking at the overall context of the day, it's kind of just a range day. So probably by this point, maybe you've moved your range to down here. And so you're looking at this thinking, okay, we might come and test this high side. So I'm okay buying that. And we're off the EMA, EMA showing some support. It kind of sucks that it breaks above and fails. So I'll probably be trying to scratch this trade. It never breaks below, which is nice, but you probably would have scratched, and that ends up giving you the scalp. So depends on how you manage that. You might have scratched, or you got your full trade, and that, it gives you plenty. So, but yeah, that's pretty much 9:15. I think there's already some good trades today. Um, Let me just go through the day so we can kind of see how it ends up playing out. And we just kind of get caught in this congestion and stuff. So nothing really there, and we're starting to trend now. and pretty much, just hits this trend, hits some real big buying at the end of the day. And it's kind of interesting where we get that sell off. We get that sell off exactly where we would expect it, exactly where these highs were. We had some stuff over here. So yeah, pretty even though it was a little choppy up in here, it's a pretty straightforward day. Um, some good trades. Yesterday was a really good day, but for now at least we'll just focus on two a week. And I like doing it on Friday since Mac doesn't do videos on Friday. So I hope this helps anyone who likes the guide and stuff. Remember, I trade 1,000 tick chart, so if you see more bars, more setups, that's just because I'm on a slightly smaller size. And the only reason I do that is because at 1,000 ticks, I can still fit my 2 point stops. But it is a little easier to get trapped if you don't know how to read the price action very well. So keep that in mind. It might be better to stay on 2,000. But yeah, it's Friday, so I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. But it's been a great week, and I'm gonna be back again next week. So until then, y'all be good, and I'm out. See y'all.